Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's up, peeps? So in this episode, we have Jake Thomas.
Hey.
We explore the idea of not just adding fitness to your life, but making it a lifestyle change, as well as using any of your past challenges as a strength rather than a weakness.
Yeah, and we also talk about how you can use legacy as your ultimate motivation. So let's dive into this podcast and let's get started. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Roberto Guido.
And my name is Marissa Lewis.
And together we are
the Dos Cocos Locos.
And welcome to our podcast.
So our goal with this podcast is to drop as much coconut fire, which is our way of saying life/business knowledge bombs, for creatives that don't necessarily know much about life or business, through conversations with one another as well as with other fellow creatives and dope people.
Our story has a lot of twists and turns, but basically we started by selling coconuts at the beach, and now we have our own photography and videography business. And it's through these conversations that we were able to really learn how to navigate this thing called life. Enjoy. Hey, how's it going, guys?
What is up, peeps?
Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Dos Cocos Locos podcast. I believe this is podcast number 19, which is crazy.
That's insane.
And we have Jake Thomas today as our special guest. How's it going, Jake?
Good, guys. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So this is your first podcast?
First podcast.
How you feeling, man?
Good, man. You know, it's funny. You always listen to podcasts. I've always listened to podcasts for the last 3 years. And so you're just like, listening to it until you finally do it. And you're just like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Well, we'll make sure to try to make it as easy and comfortable for you as possible, man.
Yeah.
But we always start our podcast with this question, and then we kind of just take it from there.
Okay.
But in one question or in one sentence, as long or as short as you want, what is it that you do?
All right.
And feel free to take your time with it.
Okay.
No rush.
Yeah. No, that's funny. I thought you guys, for context, so these two decided to ask me on our first conversation. I hope you guys remember. So I tell everybody how you guys told me your story, then I told you my story, and then we talked about Roberto was just all right, what's your struggle? And I'm just like, whoa. All right. But it's always funny though, when people ask you in an interview, who are you? Tell me about yourself. I always try to think about it because I've been asked about it a lot since I've grown, in my health and fitness journey. But essentially, I like the way that Radiant kind of talks about it, the church that we go to, moving people from where they are to where God wants them to be. Mm-hmm. And so I see it in a sense that, where my faith has taken me, but also where it's taken me from my health and fitness perspective. And so 3 years ago, I graduated college and I decided that I needed to get, my act together. Yeah. I was overweight. I didn't have any direction, and I needed some goals. Mm-hmm. And so what I decided to do was just get in the gym, start working out, start educating myself, start really fueling myself with what's going to move me forward. Mm-hmm. And so from there and from now on, what I do is I essentially look to help people within their health and fitness journey, whether it's nutrition, physically, mentally, emotionally, because obviously, nowadays, with Instagram, social media, everybody's posting their highlight reels. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so how can I connect with people more on a deeper level and say hey, how can I really help you with whatever you're going through? If it's struggle with food, I can connect with you because I overate. I overconsumed, with alcohol. I did a lot of things to put myself in the hole. And so being able to really deep level conversation, talk with people, hey, if it's food, let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. Or if it's, I'm scared to go in the gym, Jake. I've never, CrossFit looks so scary to me. What am I doing? Right? Yeah. And so, but then I can, but that's what I love because I also started working out by myself at Planet Fitness, 5 a.m. for, 6 to 12 months. Mm-hmm. And I know how difficult it is to start. And so basically, I just try to take people from, hey, I don't know where to start, but Jake, you seem like you're genuine enough to help me and seem like you care. Mm-hmm. And so just getting people started. And so that's a very roundabout way, but I just love it. I think it's been a calling that, you know, God's put on my heart. And so just being able to genuinely connect with people and move them on a path towards better health,
I love it.
you know, is huge. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Because that's one thing that I think we mentioned it before too when we first met.
Right.
That's literally something that we're like struggling with, and like we had like literally a week where we would just eat really, really bad food,
right.
and we were like working really like crazy hours. So we realized like our health was going really bad,
Right.
And food plays like a huge part in that. Like what you become what you eat,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that a lot of people who we've had on this podcast, like a lot of other creatives are like, I don't have time to eat healthy, to work out, like finding that balance of working like crazy hours.
Right.
Like, it's not a normal like
Right.
5 8 to 5. It's
Of course.
like
Yeah.
5 a.m. or like staying up till 2 3 a.m. like working on things. So I think it's interesting that you like are helping people with that, because we definitely need help with that.
Yeah. And I'm definitely a work in progress. I mean, it's every day. You know, I help people through a supplement company called First Form, and it's not a plug. I love it because they teach us to replace sell with help. And I think it's been a huge blessing, but I've also like learned a lot. I've been learning a lot and still progressing in the right direction. But I think the thing that you have to remember is if you're going to make it a priority, you have to realize that you got to make time for it. Just as you guys make time for editing, you know, if it becomes a priority where you say like, oh, well, you know, I need to make a change, or I need to realize like, hey, you know, I don't feel good. And so how can I take a step back and realize, okay, where's some time I can fill in to, you know, make a meal so that, you know, come 12 o'clock at night, I'm not, you know, munching on ho-hos or, you know, or Oreos or something, you know, and everything.
Ice cream.
Right? Hey, I've been there too. I have had, you know, the Halo Top, the Ben and Jerry's, scooping down a pint of ice cream. Because I get it. And if I know I'm not taking care of myself too, I mean, I have those struggles. Everybody does. And if you hear somebody that's in like the health and fitness space that says like, oh yeah, I don't struggle with that, then you know, right? then they are pretty much lying. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's just human nature that, you know, if you're eating bad, and I mean, you're going to have those tendencies. So it's just realizing that, you know, but it's one step at a time. And so making sure that, you know, you're setting yourself up for success. So realizing, and what I love to do is I love to just have people send me basically their daily meal plan. And so I would look at that and say, all right, how can I help you? What are things I can take out, you know, and replace, you know, with whether it's like a protein smoothie, or it's just, you know, hey, maybe this is a good time to like have a meal, or, you know, just realizing, you know, there's gaps in your nutrition, and so being able to replace it obviously with better options too. But there's so much more to it, and you guys were talking about it, how you guys stay up late. I mean, a book I'm reading from his name's Sean Stevenson, first podcast I ever listened to, so just plug for that.
Check it out.
So the Model Health Show, Sean Stevenson, hopefully if you can ever listen to this, I can just shout out, very grateful for you. I appreciate it. But he wrote a book on like sleeping, and I'm going through it now, and it's obviously a lot more to sleep, but being able to realize like how much even sleep goes into like your overall like health and fitness, and just getting those optimal like at least 6.5 7 hours of sleep is so huge to your body, because that affects your insulin, you know, whether I think in the book it talks about if you're under 6 hours compared to like getting close to 7 hours, your level of like putting you in closer to diabetic like state like is actually like increased.
Really?
And so it's just, people don't even, I mean, it's crazy though, that people don't realize like how much like sleep can play into a factor. So I mean, you think about it, when you just take a step back, I mean, the fact that I just talked to you guys about nutrition a little bit and then sleep, so you think about it, nutrition, sleep, working out, Jake, whoa, what's going on? But it's just taking it one step at a time. And I think that's where people struggle, is just like, oh, I gotta all do it at once. You know, the Roman Empire wasn't built in one day. And so,
Love that.
But yeah.
Dang, man. So are there any so do you work like one-on-one with people, or is it more like a group setting, or how does it work?
Yeah. So currently right now I'm a CrossFit level 1 trainer over at CrossFit Hyde Park. It's under our umbrella now of we're called Tampa Movement Lab. So my owner, Michelle Richards, she's owned the gym for going on almost 3 years. So when I moved here almost a year and a half ago, I found CrossFit Hyde Park. I fell in love with it. I'd been doing CrossFit for a little while back home in Illinois. And then from there, I just emailed a bunch of gyms. She got back to me and said, hey, come in, stop in, and, see what it's all about. And that's all she wrote from there. I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the working out, and just, found it a home. And so from there, I finally realized that, this would be a great way to also help people too. Yeah. And so in August of last year, I went and got my CrossFit level 1 trainer. And then I decided to start coaching the next month. And so Michelle just kind of threw me in there. I coached for a month. Here. We love you, go right ahead. And so, I started coaching for a month, in September, and then I was pretty much on my own going in October. And so, it's opened up my eyes to a lot. And now, I was kind of alluding to you guys earlier I was talking about going into my personal training certification. And so really being able to truly help people one-on-one was something that, I realized that I needed to do in order to kind of make those genuine relationships and really help people. And, because it's hard. I mean, when people come into, a CrossFit gym, you can get to know them surface level, but it's those deep one-on-one conversations where I can really say hey, what's going on, guys? Tell me what's, nutrition, sleep's bad. Let's talk about that, and be able to go from there. And so, it was hard. 5-6 months, I kind of putzed around with it. And finally I just, I made the decision. So
I love that, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we know you're ultra.
Wait.
Oh yeah.
Also, I just want to jump in. I just want to know, and it's probably just because we haven't done it yet.
Right.
But people who talk about CrossFit are in CrossFit.
Right.
They
It's a
live,
lifestyle.
eat, and breathe it.
Yeah. Right.
Why? I know some people go to the gym and they're like, okay, yeah, I go to the gym. But CrossFit, I feel like it's a whole another level of love for what they're doing.
Yeah. It's interesting. Since I've been in CrossFit, and then I've almost been doing it it's crazy. I mean, it's only been a year and a half, fully into it. Yeah. And so within being in CrossFit, I've learned about, powerlifting and bodybuilding and physique, and just seeing those from the outside perspective and seeing how crazy those are. And then they probably think, how crazy CrossFitters are. Yeah. But what's interesting though too, and I was thinking about this the other day, was when I was younger, I was very fortunate. So I was handed a lot in my life, and I basically took the path of least resistance, in a sense. And so what's interesting now is that I see how much I've transformed myself mentally and physically by doing CrossFit. And so what's happened is I've actually been able to retrain my brain to take the path of most resistance. That's cool. And then that's been going through CrossFit. And so what helps me is when people tell me oh, I can't do something, I'm like, no, you can, because you've done X, Y, and Z. And they're and I'm just well, I just learned that just from doing hard workouts. You guys made a business decision in your lives to leave school teaching to take on, what you guys are doing now. So if you guys ever tell me you can't do something, I'm going to have a serious talk with both of you. So I think that, right? Yeah. But I think that can go for your listeners, anybody that hears this, that, if you make a big switch in life, like you guys did, you can't tell me that you guys can't, just show up to the gym to do CrossFit. And even though it's intense and it's crazy, truly, did you guys, think about that. Like when you guys made that decision, so I'm going to throw this back on you guys, because to think about like when you guys come across hard situations in your life, you guys should always think back to that point. And so like I don't know if you guys have talked about this like to your listeners. So I think it's interesting that you guys made that switch. So what goes through your head when you guys come across like a tip, whether it's a difficult situation or like something you guys go through, like, what do you guys lean on?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
That's a great question.
Jake over here with the questions. He's podcasting us now.
Well, what do we think?
I thought you had something, so I was gonna wait for you.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. No, that's totally true, and I think that kind of ties in with like what Pastor Aaron was talking about on Sunday.
Right.
He kind of talks about like having like 3 guards on you at all times, and like it was basically like remembering your past, living in the present, and also looking for the future.
That's good.
I think that's really has helped us out a lot, because literally we were going through this like crazy cycle, or like at the end of every month it was literally like just making it to that, like pay the bills for that month, and then restarting over and doing it again,
and having like literally nothing in the bank account.
Yeah,
right.
So
We're
like
talking like $30-40.
Yeah.
And then just waiting for the next month for
That's
the next
hard.
recurring we're gonna like
Right.
So every month was like that for like a long time.
Right.
Like last month and this month we're actually finally like starting to get some
this
more money.
month is actually one of the
Yeah.
better months now. We're like, wow, like because we had this wedding, and then like we said, like
Right.
And just
basically
other jobs that
the
are
wedding
like-
took care of basically the rent and all other bills, and all these other jobs which kind of like just piled up
Yeah.
are like extra income for like next month. So now we have like some to save.
Right.
So we're like, okay, just like realizing like, yeah, we have gone through some pretty crazy stuff. If you think about it, like we sold coconuts at the beach,
Right.
quit our jobs doing this full time. Our cameras have taken us all the way to Mexico.
Right.
Or like it was a paid gig. They flew us out there. They paid us to fly us out there.
Right.
We've got to meet so many cool, amazing individuals in the Tampa area
Right.
in just a quick amount of time. And we've known some people that lived here for like 2-3 years and don't know as many people as us,
Right.
which is crazy. So it's all a mindset.
Yeah.
So like kind of like adding all those stuff up really helps us out a lot, because we're like, dang, if we were able to do all that,
Right.
we can handle one more month of like
Exactly.
struggle.
Yeah.
Like we
Right.
can do another month of
That's true. And
Yeah.
even like some of the things that we have like coming up that we're planning,
some pretty big stuff.
doing like big dreams.
Top
that
secret.
literally don't make any sense, and like the funds are not there for them,
Yeah.
but like the plans are starting to
Right.
be there. So
Right.
even just thinking about those, we're like, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but like
But it
every
feels
month
like
we're
so real now. Like
Right.
Yeah.
like if you talked to us like 2 months ago, we'd have been like, that's completely crazy. There's no way. Now it's like it's still crazy, but we see it as a
Right.
possibility of
Yeah.
actually happening.
Yeah.
But even like just thinking about that one dream, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but literally every month we're like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like March, I think it was April, we had nothing on the calendar going into the month. Like
Right.
literally not one
was
job
blank.
on the calendar.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Going into, I think it was March. And it filled. Like we still paid the bills. Like,
Yeah.
jobs just poured in. People called out of nowhere, like, hey, I need a photo shoot. Hey, I need a
Right.
news video for, hey, I have an event. Can you come out and do it? And we're like, yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, literally every single month, we're just like, okay, let's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's see what happens. And, like, now we're planning and trying to save now that we had, like, these 2 good months.
Of course.
But we made it through a lot of months where we're like, I don't know if we're going to be able to pay the bills. Like,
Right.
I'm so glad we have these credit cards. Like,
Yeah. Right. God bless credit
God
cards.
bless credit cards. Like, you know. And they're paid off now, which is great. But
Yeah.
I think just looking back,
Yeah.
I think the key was like we look back, we're like, okay, what did we do back then,
Mm-hmm.
that we can apply to now, and
Right.
basically how I see it is like just keep moving.
Right.
Like, that's the answer.
That's
You
good.
just got to keep moving.
yeah. And
That's
like
good.
Like-
Painkiller Cam, we had him on our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really awesome artist
Yeah.
here in Tampa.
Yeah.
He, his dad told him something. He told us on this podcast that when he was younger, his dad would always tell him that God honors movement.
That's
so he's
good.
like, just keep
That's so good.
moving. Like,
That's so
you
good.
might
That's
not know where you're
literally
going,
Yeah. Right.
but and it's just so
That's true.
awesome.
That's
we're like,
true.
wow. Like, we had to pause and be like,
Yeah, we're like, whoa,
that was really good. That hit me in a place.
because it hit us hard, because we're like, that's
Yeah.
literally it.
Yeah.
Just God honors movement.
Right. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
That's good. No, I mean, going back to like how I started, it's so funny because people like ask, and I always have to like look at Haley and be like, what got me started? And it was just, I mean, yeah, it was the realization that, everything that I poured into, in college never gave me anything. So I poured into relationships, I poured into, alcohol, I poured into just partying, and none of that gave me anything. And so I think sometimes you'll realize the environments that you're in aren't prospering. And so it's so interesting how I read it, and I forgot what part of the Bible it was in, but it talked about where you have a garden that you have to like tend to, and sometimes you'll have weeds that are in that garden. You have to like pull out those weeds. And so sometimes, I realized that, I've had a garden in, Nebraska when I went to school there that unfortunately, had too many weeds that overgrew that, I had to go to a new garden, and that one didn't work. And now I've come to a garden that's in Florida for Haley and I that people are watering, and people are, putting their own seeds into that we're able to water and able to grow and just watch to continue. But I think what it's shown me and what you guys just said is that God honors movement. And so I realized that I might not know everything when it comes to health and fitness. I mean, go back to that like low barrier to entry. I mean, and I'm sure you guys probably see that too. It's just like, oh, what do I know? What am I doing right? But at the same time, it's one step forward. Like all you guys are doing is the one step forward, and that's the same thing that I try to tell everybody else. It's just, you're not gonna see the six pack tomorrow. You're not gonna see it in a week. Right. You might not see it in a month. Come on,
right? They want crunch.
Where is it?
Where is it? Crunch. Come on, bicep curl. Where are they? I can't do that. Yeah, but it's true though. It's just God honors the movement, and it's one foot in front of the other. And Pastor Aaron talked about it a couple weeks ago that God will light the path, and you might not see what's out here in front of you, but as long as you have that one foot in front of the other, you're taking, and I just listened to it. Ed Milet, great individual, entrepreneur, does a lot of work with Andy Frisella, who's a CEO of First Forum. But I was just listening to his podcast. He talks about being able to max out every day. Just one extra rep, for you guys, it's just like one extra person you reach out to, one extra call of, possibly doing somebody's wedding. And you add that up over a week, over months, over a year. I mean, think about like the possibilities, you go from not paying the bills to going on extra vacations, putting more into your podcast, so it's just taking the one extra step that somebody might not else do, but also realizing kind of like what we were talking about was, I know what God's brought me through, so I know what he can bring me to. Damn. And so being able to realize that, so
drop me some coconut. We say this is called coconut fire, knowledge bombs. So
But it takes time. But I also think it's surrounding yourself with individuals like you guys, where it's like I see like you guys not might be in the same space as me, but I see that like you guys have gone through like same struggle, but that a lot of people do. But I think that's the biggest thing, is that realizing that like you got to hold on to that, like that past, and realize like, what, like I'm going to come in contact with somebody like maybe that's younger, my age, that's like, oh my gosh, like you guys are so inspirational, blah, blah. And like, humble yourselves in that, but realize like, hey, like you're going to go through some dark days, but know that, if you just keep moving forward, you're going to be able to get to where you want to be. So,
Dang, Jake.
So
that's wild.
So
we kind of, I don't know how deep you want to get into, because we know what you want to do as far as goals. So do you want to kind of talk about what are your goals?
If you guys haven't seen it over the last 19 podcasts, that these two just get straight to it. So if you ever meet them, they'll ask you about your life. They'll tell you yours or theirs, and then they'll just jump straight into, what are your struggles and goals in life, and then that's it. And then you become best friends with them. And then you come on their podcast. But
he's laid out those
I just laid. That's how they trick everybody. They get you on here. Boom. Community over competition. Hashtag. Throw it out there.
Every person that we have on our podcast says that, and we don't tell them to say that.
Right?
Like,
No, they did not tell me to say that.
like,
so,
yes.
Here's the $5.
but also, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
right there, smacked on the wall too. But
They could be on.
my goals. I just want to be able to help as many people as I can in my life. Pastor Doug at our church talked about it once, and it talks about like leaving a legacy. It's a huge buzzword. It's funny. I reference back to First Forum. I've learned a lot from the company. I mean, if you guys haven't ever seen, Andy Frisella has a MFCEO podcast. I'm pretty sure it's still and probably will always remain the number one business podcast in the world. But his brother Andy does the sales side for First Forum, and he was just on a podcast with Ben Newman. It's funny how much you can learn from podcasts, by the way.
You really can.
Real can. You know, so if you're struggling out there and you're realizing like, what do I do with myself? Find some good podcasts to invest your time in, especially if you drive.
Like those Cocos, Locos
right?
podcasts.
Yeah. Plug real quick. But you know, he talked about like leaving a legacy, and like I said, it's a big buzzword. But the thing you have to realize is, how long is your line going to be at your funeral? Every day, who are you adding to the back of the line? And who is talking to the person at the end of the line and say, oh, they'll turn around and be like, oh, you're new. Like, what did Jake do to help you? Or what did Jake, do to help you and, help you succeed in life? And so I think having that mindset, like, just puts you out of this like completely selfish, like self-centered, where a lot of times we can get to. And especially in the health and fitness world, so many times it's about body image. It's about, looking the best, like being fit, having 6-pack abs, like having the best physique. And it's just like, yeah, it's been great because I've worked really hard for it. And I'm super blessed because God's given me this discipline where like I would have never been able to have that if it wasn't for him and putting that in my heart. But now it's my opportunity and my God-given ability to go out and help people. And it's how am I, it's interesting. I'm talking about it and out loud and making me think, but it's like, it's selfish, but it's not. It's how am I adding to my funeral line? Like who's going to come up? Who's going to talk about like, Jake helped me out, losing 5 pounds and I felt great. And I had the confidence to, take my shirt off when I went to my pool party at 4th of July. Right. And so just being able to like think about that every day. And so that's like kind of like a new mindset for me is just, leaving that legacy. But also, like I told you guys earlier too, I struggled with like being handed a lot in my life. And so ever since I graduated, I've basically just tried to take the path of most resistance. So I do the hard workouts. I go to CrossFit. I wake up really early in the morning and people think it's crazy, but then I come back to them. And that's why I love getting to know people, because then I just point to that one time in their life where it's just like, remember that time you guys did that? Remember when you lost that father? Remember when you got divorced, but then you got, you found new love again? Remember when you thought you were financially broke and you're never going to get out of, debt, but then somehow you found the money, the opportunities came, you were financially, able to give to other people and pour back into other people. That's why I love it. So, I mean, nowadays it's just so many times it struggles, and I'm going through it myself, is especially in a new state, in a new, area, being able to have those genuine, deep relationships. And I think the three of us, getting to know you two now, we've had that right off the bat. And I think it's just jumping right to it. It's like marriage too, in a sense, right? Yeah. It's so funny because it's like the same, like Haley and I were reading a book, The Mingling Souls. I think it's by oh my gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can find it. It's on Amazon. But he talked about like courtship and like just you realize like in marriage, it's like, all right, I want to marry this person. So it's like, might start asking tough questions, right? So it's like, if I want to have friends, if I want to have good people in my life, might need to start asking, right? Yeah. Why skirt around, right? Because it's just, your time is so valuable in life, and you only get so much time in a day, in a week, and before you realize it, it's like 5 years is gone, 10 years is gone. And so being able to really ask those tough questions and just get to it. And it's just like, how can, you know, because then, I mean, that's how we connected, because you asked me the tough questions, and then I was just like, dude, right? I know, day one. Yeah. hour one, probably like less than half an hour. Maybe they're
like 20 minutes in, like, hey, so
their life story took 10 minutes. My life story took 10 minutes. And then it was like awkward silence for a minute. And then the rest was history.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, but I can thank you guys, because it's funny. And I've told, you know, probably a dozen people now, like, it's funny, oh yeah, I met Roberto and Melissa, and they, you know, we tell each other's life stories, and then asked what are my struggles, and so now I like try to like ask people like, what are your struggles, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like such a roundabout way. I just like really coming back to like your guys' question, but it's getting to it, having the mindset of like being able to help people, but it's also like, how am I building my legacy? Truly, like as a genuine human being, really caring for people and just being able to give them a new sense of purpose in life.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Dang. All right, guys. We're going to do a quick pause because that was dope, and I just need to collect myself after that. Dang. All right. So we'll be back after these commercial breaks.
It's that time again, break time, and you get to spend it with me, Chris from Lucky Cat Visuals. Again, special thanks to Marissa and Roberto for letting me edit their podcast. It's been truly enjoyable. Seriously, this podcast so far has been great, and it's had me thinking. For me, 2019 was also really important because I established some really lofty goals for myself. I wanted to get as creative as possible, hopefully get financial independence by doing so. And I wanted to get physically fit. I understand where Jake is coming from, you know, struggles are real, but we all have to embrace them. So I'm always wondering, what do you guys think? What are your struggles? What are the things that you guys are working on? Already halfway through the year. It's already summertime. For me personally, I feel like I've come a long way. I'm editing this podcast, you know, so that's something. No, seriously, it's been a really great year, but there's still a lot of work to do. And I think I speak for Roberto and Marissa and for myself when I say we all just want to grow and keep getting better. So 2019, let's just keep this going. Let's finish off strong. And it's like really inspirational to see somebody who's also not necessarily a creative, but doing something really cool. So whether you're doing something creative or physical or philanthropic, it doesn't matter. We're all struggling and we're all trying to do something amazing. So keep pushing forward. Keep trying to achieve your goals. Don't let anything stop you. Come on, look. I'm getting my fitness goals in. I'm trying to get swole. It's not a cam trick at all. But again, in the comments below, whether you're on YouTube or in the reviews on iTunes or Spotify, let us know what you guys are working on, what you guys are struggling with, and how you're gonna achieve your goals for 2019. Still got a long way to go, and we still got a whole another half of the podcast. So you guys enjoy that. I'm gonna actually finish editing that. So I'll see you guys next time.
All right, guys, and we're back. And we had a whole other side podcast about life. And that's just kind of how it happens. So.
Every time.
Yeah,
every time.
That's crazy.
We should have mic the room.
Yeah.
Right. I know. Yeah, just to get those like those little blurbs on the side, and you just like add. See, that's side coconut fire. I don't even know.
Ooh,
what's like a baby.
That could be it.
Have you guys looked into what's the progression of like a coconut? Does it have like stages?
Yeah, we actually know a lot about coconuts.
Stages.
So what's like the
the coconut is like the baby.
Okay.
Actually, and then the coconut actually sprouts out from the actual coconut that you see.
Yeah.
Like the big green
Like
coconuts.
that is the seed.
That is the seed.
Isn't that
so
kind of
it
crazy?
pops right out.
Like
and
a whole tree comes from that.
And then that's what you plant in the ground.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Wow.
When we first saw it, we're like, wow.
But does it have like a name?
Whoa.
I'm pretty sure that there's
It
specific
does. I don't know.
names,
You
but we're
should
just
look
like
it up.
baby coconut.
And
Yeah.
Maybe
You're
that.
like, whoa, look at that baby coconut.
Maybe that's what it'll be. It'll be like a like the blur, like side blur, baby coconuts.
Baby coconuts.
Baby
coconut fires. or coconut flames. Or something like
coconut flames. Right. Yeah.
Or coconut sparks. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. There we go. Yeah. There we go.
I love it, man. But
yeah.
Dang, Jake, you really like blew us away with just like coming here and just like not only just sharing your knowledge, but I feel like we're just like way more like closer together now.
Right.
So that's crazy, man. Like,
yeah.
Thank you so much for just taking time.
No, well, I should have started this off because I hear a lot of people like do podcasts this way too, and maybe so it'd be first time, but I just first off, I'm grateful for you two, you know, and blessing that you guys have come into my life, but also for the community, for Tampa Bay, for Radiant, you know, just what you guys are doing here, like taking that step and doing this podcast. Cause it's, you know, I mean, obviously our mutual friend, Jake, we'll get him there.
Yeah.
We'll get you there.
Yeah, we'll get you there.
Yeah. So by the time this comes out, we'll already have our podcast going too.
Yes.
And so just like, you know, grateful for you guys and thankful that you guys are doing this and being able to like really spread your community over competition and just like bringing that together though too. So
thank you, Jake.
Yeah, no problem.
That.
Yeah, so
We're just doing stuff.
we're just doing things over
We
here.
don't really know of it.
So what are you guys doing, Matt? We're just doing things.
Honestly, people ask us like all the time. We're
What's the
like,
plan?
we have no idea.
Right.
Like we have a goal. And
We have a loose.
You know what's
loose
no,
plan.
you know what's funny. So we were talking about this before we broke. Was talking about like what are your goals? Like, and a lot of people will be like, what's your 5-year plan? It's just like and I had a great conversation with a gentleman at our church and a couple that Haley and I have gotten to know really well and really invested in us, and really poured into us. But he talked about like, you know, God has his own plans, right? You know, like Jeremiah 29:11. I literally have it tattooed, you know, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, you know. But it's so interesting when you think about that. It's just like, do I really have a 5-year plan? Because at any point in time, he can just be like, well, here's a new opportunity.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nope.
That's not working for you.
Yeah.
Nope, this isn't it. Like, you know, that's not, we're done with that. Let's go somewhere else. And so it's so interesting, you know, because from a business perspective, like I get asked that in the business world too, you know, whether I've done interviews, you know, for jobs or, you know, when I was in high school, like people would ask like, where do you want to be in 5 years? It's just like, would you guys have said right? Like what's your 5-year plan?
This was not in the 5-year plan. We were going to be doctors when we met each
right?
other 4 years
Doctors.
ago.
These folks were going to be doctors, and we're staring at.
I would not have trusted us.
And I'm staring at two cameras, talking into a microphone, doing a podcast, right?
Yeah,
This is very different.
In Tampa, Florida. So it's
In the
just
middle of a Tuesday.
right. I know.
So yeah, that 5-year question window thing, whatever people like to say, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because like you're just taking time away from the present to like whatever you're doing right now.
Exactly.
To
That's
be
so good.
Building something.
Yeah.
Like I think you have to be flexible enough to be like, okay, this is where I want to go.
Right.
But if that doesn't work, I can do all this other stuff
Right.
too.
Like this is where I'm going to
Exactly.
start moving.
Right.
Because like.
Yeah.
But if nothing comes out of it, you know, if there's nothing prospering, but I mean, that's also too, I mean, we talked about it, was surrounding yourself with people that are, you know, really like pouring into you, whether it's spiritually, professionally, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this conversation with Haley last night. She's like, I had this crazy idea, don't need to get into it, but she basically said, you know, just that ship sailed. God didn't, you know, he wasn't having any of it. You know, he said, all right, have you heard anything from it? Nope. All right, let's be gone. Move on.
Yeah.
So now my focus is, you know, my personal training certification. So like just focusing on that, and then from there being able to help people.
Yeah.
And so like once that comes, then more opportunities will come. And it's just, you know, I mean, it's like Pastor Aaron talked about it, Matthew 7:7-8. It's like, you know, ask and you shall, you know, ask and you shall find, seek and you shall find. I clearly not great at quoting scripture, but you guys, but also because it's come up like 3 times in my life, so I feel like I had to say something. But it's like, if you knock and like God opens the opportunity, He will present it to you. And so when I realized like I needed to knock on this opportunity of being able to help people, you know, with this certification, I did. and God was just like, go, and we'll I'll take it from there. So yeah, what do you guys think? What has been, so obviously health and nutrition is so big for me. Like what you guys talked a little bit about wanting to like, figure out like timing and everything. So what's like the biggest thing from an outsider's perspective? Because I love to hear it. So like you guys are like looking at me like, oh, Jake does CrossFit, he eats so well, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you guys like from a, I want to get started, Jake, but I'm clueless. Like, but so what are your questions? And so I can like try to think about like how I can help you guys.
Of like just like a whole fitness journey. Yeah,
just fitness journey. Just like I want to lose like 5 pounds. Like that, a good basic starting goal.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Okay.
I think a big thing right now for us is like working out too, but food. So like food is important.
Yeah.
We don't know what the heck to eat.
Right.
Like,
there's so many different options. And we're like,
and we're just not chefs. Like we're
we're not
we
chefs.
throw some stuff in a pan.
And then we're also like balling on a budget. So it's like those three.
Yeah. So like balling on a budget,
Yeah.
like we don't know what food. Like we know how to cook chicken.
Right.
And like shrimp.
Yeah.
But like basic. Like
basic.
So like just knowing what to put together is like really important for us.
Yeah.
And then also
just like meal prepping kind of.
Yeah.
I feel like that would
something
be
that doesn't take too much time either. Because
Right.
like it's not
Exactly.
it's important for us, but it's
course.
not like one of our I mean it is a I don't know how to say
Of
that.
course,
Like it's a
yeah.
focus, but like we don't
like how
have
do we
2
do that?
hours to prep
time
everything.
like efficiently.
Right.
Time
Yeah.
efficiently.
Exactly. That was a big struggle for me. So you could also take the Dave Ramsey route too, beans and rice and beans. But
Beans and rice, Jesus Christ.
right. That's a good one. I have not heard that. I have not.
Oh, fast you say that.
Yeah, beans and rice, Jesus Christ. I'm dying. I'm gonna make a
shirt.
Right. I'm gonna make a shirt
It
that
needs
says
to be on
that.
the shirt.
Yeah, but I think. Yeah, right. I know. Put it on a pot, like on a crock pot. So you just put the rice in there, put the beans in there.
And just read your Bible.
Yeah. It's gonna be our new hashtag, right? That's so good. But I think what's interesting is that that's such a struggle. Is like, where do I start? Because and I see it a lot too. And I don't know all of the statistics or anything about it, but I mean, food is more overabused than drugs and like medication. And so like so many people like struggle with it, and that's why I think it goes back to like what we were saying earlier too, is like really getting to know somebody, like what's going on with them, like mentally, like physically, because I mean so many people genetically are different, made up, and so how you two are made up is completely different than me. And so not saying that I can't hopefully get you to where you want to be, but it's also like really getting to know you and have those conversations. And that's why like I've learned a lot like through First Forum, and a lot of the Legionnaires learn is that being able to have those conversations and just like talking about life and like getting to know somebody, because then from there it's like you build that trust, build that relationship,
right.
And then you're able to really dive into like what's going on in your life. So it's like obviously you guys are working late nights, you're spending 12 hours editing a film. Well, it's hard because for example, I would think about, all right, where's a time where you guys can spend an hour? Give me 1 hour where you can try to make as much food as you can so that you can have it readily available. So I think about like the basic, that everybody eats. So many people in the health and fitness space where it's like chicken, rice, and broccoli, right? And so you get your veggies, broccoli is considered a carb, but it's also veggie, but you get your rice and then you get your protein. And so just being able to put chicken, from wherever you get it on the pan, put it in the oven, put in the broccoli, and then make your rice. And it's like, while that's baking in there for 30 minutes, the broccoli and the chicken, okay, you let that go, start your rice, you're done in maybe 45 minutes. And we'll do it. Honestly, we'll time it. I'll come over here with you guys. We'll make it, and I'll just show you how to do it. And then we can video it and show you how easy it is, because it goes back to it too. Like when you tell me you don't have time, please stop telling yourself that.
Yeah.
Please. Because you have all the time you want.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
it's
very
just,
true.
but it's just, are you willing to like make the choice? And I struggle with this because Haley always tells me, she's just like, well, Jake, not everybody wants to be like health and fit and, you know, do that like that. I'm just like, yes, I realize that. And I get it too. And so it's like trying to pull back the reins, but it's like, if somebody wants to be helped, it's like, I'm all here for you. Because it's like, I know like what you're going through and like how strong
That's
it is.
kind of true.
how we feel about
We
it.
have that struggle too. So like when people say like, oh, I want to do this, like I want to take more photos, or I want to get into
we're
be
you
a real
can.
creative who like actually does this full time. We're like, okay, let's tell you how to do it. Like we don't know all of
Yeah,
it, but
right.
like we know some
But-
of it, and so like we get really intense with people sometimes.
Yeah.
And we're really fired up.
But notice how it's like these two, and then it's like who's talking to them, like telling them to come out. So it's like full steam ahead. So I could only imagine.
Yes.
And but yeah, because we just break it down for them, like kind of like how you did it. We're like,
Yeah.
all right, you want to start like doing photography full time? All
It
right,
takes this and
this is
that.
what you need to do. You need to start doing stuff for free, build your portfolio, show
Yeah.
people like what you can do, and then start paying, like getting
keep
charge
learning and
yourself,
growing.
charge
Right.
people little by little, and then
Yeah.
grow up your brand. That's
Yeah.
literally it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but people are like, oh, I don't want to do stuff for free. I'm like, that's what you gotta start off though first. Like,
Right.
you gotta
Like,
show
we still do
people.
some
Right.
stuff
Yeah,
for
we
free.
even still do some
Like
stuff.
if we
for
know
free.
what's
Like,
gonna get us to here.
yeah,
Right.
So like,
Yeah.
so some people just are like, nah, they see the end goal, and I think that's kind of the same thing with you. Like people see like the abs and like
Yeah.
the muscles and stuff. Like I just want
Just like,
that.
oh, I want that. I want that.
Yeah, you're like, you
Jake,
can't.
here you are. Can I have that? And it's just like Jake, I want your biceps. And it's just like, well, it's just like, how much work are you willing to put in?
Right.
That's it.
You know? And I just can't stress it enough. It's just so hard to say. But at the end of the day, it's like, do you have the time? Yes. Are you willing to make the sacrifice and the choices to like move yourself from where you are to where you want to be?
Yep.
And if that's like your goal, then here I am. And so I've struggled with it like on social media, because maybe it's my content, maybe it's, you know, what I'm putting out there and everything, but I've started to get better with people, but it's also what I've like really focused myself on, because it's been great to like, I know I've probably helped a lot of people on social media, but am I getting the instant feedback from it? No. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of people where that's where the comparison thing, you know, they always say comparison is the thief of joy. And what is it, Mark Twain, I think, said that. I don't know. But basically, I see everybody else being super successful, helping everybody out. And it's just, well, it's like I've been given the education, but it's also like maybe that's not like where I'm like called to like help everybody on social media. Maybe I can have a presence out there. Maybe I can help somebody. Maybe they're not going to reach out, but it's like you two. It's like I have you two right in front of me. You guys know that like I'm always willing to help you. And so like if I can help you two, then I win. Like I'm progressing towards what I want, which is wanting to help people with the struggle, because they're just, I don't know where to start, Jake. And so being able to have that capability, and so just knowing like who you are, and that like, yeah, you can't be like everybody else, but like as long as you are, that's interesting. Like you don't want to say like unique, but it's like, I don't know.
Just you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just me. And so like, yeah, like I said, I might not be able to help everybody on social media. Yeah, I have 6,000 followers, but it's like, well, cool. Like, I mean, but I want to help people in person too. I want to build that genuine relationship and everything. So
Same.
yeah. So
Or say wavelength, bro.
right.
Say wavelength.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's it. So to like recap, biggest thing is it's just, it comes down to like that choice and just taking that extra step of like really wanting to make it like a priority, but also, but it comes back to making me realize and focus on the past too, of like, you guys did the hard things, we can do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Love it.
And so that's yeah.
Dang. All right, yeah. So if you don't know who Jake is, definitely reach out to him.
Yes.
Because he's dope and he'll help you achieve your personal fitness goals. And he's just a dope person just to like talk to.
Thanks, guys.
Like he's been through some stuff, and like that's cool just being able to like listen to his stories and things like that.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Jay, well, we usually end the podcast with like this question, but I think
That
you
we've
already
already
answered. Yeah, I
asked
think
you.
because we talk about like the struggles and like
Right,
that.
yeah.
But I think
Well,
you kind of already talked about that.
But let me,
But-
yeah, I'll recap. So basically, in college, I put I invested in a lot of things that never gave me anything. And then when I graduated, I realized that I needed to get it together, and I didn't do it for anybody. And sometimes when you start off, you're not doing it for everybody, because sometimes you have to grow yourself to really know like what I'm working on. And so I realized that, I was doing it all for myself, but it's like, maybe that's it. And maybe I need to do it for myself, because, you don't need to impress anybody else. Like at the end of the day, like you need to really like focus on you and grow yourself. And then from there, that's where I've gotten. So I grew myself back then. I still hold on to it, just like we talked about, but now it's my turn to like be able to serve others, be able to like impact the world and try to leave that legacy. So just focus on yourself, know that you can do it, find that point in your past where you struggled, and then realize like, I went through that, God brought me through that, but now it's like, all right, I can go through tougher times, but then realize that I'm here to help you.
I love that, bro.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Jake, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add to the people of
I was gonna say, whoever everybody is, I mean, if you're in Tampa, Florida, or the area, and you're struggling to find out where to like find a good community, a gym, I go to Tampa Movement Lab. I'll just plug it. Ooh, look at that. See, I was smart. Yeah. So Tampa Movement Lab is the kind of umbrella, and then CrossFit Hyde Park is underneath. So it's a great community that I've been a part of for almost a year and a half. But also just being able to grow. Obviously, follow me on Instagram. Feel free to reach out. I will always be willing to help you, because I don't have like 300,000 followers or 500,000 followers, so I can not yet. Not gonna right goals. And so like being able to like, I can reach out to you and have that conversation with you and be able to help you. So whatever way, but thanks guys, I appreciate it.
That's cool. Thanks for being on the podcast.
I know. Right, first one done. Hey. You guys are like hyping me up. I'm like, I don't know. I felt like it was okay.
Yeah, that was good.
That was great.
Right.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for listening, watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, do all that fun jazz.
Yes.
And also, like, if you made it to the end of this podcast, like, send us a little like arm emoji to like our DMs or wherever you want to.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the little bicep one.
Flex on it.
Yeah. Flex on the gram.
Flex on
so
them.
that way we know who the real peeps are, because like that's who we were really interested in finding out, is like who the real peeps are.
Right.
Like listen to the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
So you guys are dope.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one, and keep being awesome.
Woo.
All right.
Before we end this podcast, I just want to give a huge shout out to EV47. He's the one that made the beat for the beginning and end of this podcast. So you should definitely check him out, because he's dope. And peace.
Yes.